So one of the things I hear so many women, I don't want to use the word complain, but bring up concern about is the idea that men just want one thing. And we know what that one thing is. Food. No, I'm playing. That's not what it is. Though men want food, sexual relations, all right? That there's a lot of men running around. Some of you may view them as just a bunch of horny horn dogs that will put their stuff in anybody. We're not just gonna go deep into all that. But the point is, many of you are frustrated and irritated and annoyed by men's focus on having sex with women and wanting to get in your pants specifically, all right? And the reality is that whether a man is a good man, bad man, serious about you, not serious about you, the desire for sex is gonna be there. That's just a reality because it does play and it will always play a very important role in long-term relationships and more specifically marriage, right? But the problem is not simply the desire for it. It's when all the man wants to use you for is that. When you have a desire for something more real, when you want a more intimate relationship, when you want commitment, when you want marriage, but this man's just trying to sleep with you. And you have to become more aware of when that is his intention. Because the unfortunate reality is that the average man, most men, aren't just gonna say it flat out. Now, I know many of you say, why can't men just say it flat out? You've heard plenty of women mention, oh, well, if men were just more honest, well, maybe he would get it. No, he wouldn't. No. If men thought being that straightforward would get it, they would, all right? They're not this straightforward because it usually does not work that way. That isn't to say that that would not be the healthier route, that wouldn't be the right thing to do. It's just to say that if you're expecting for them to hold themselves to a higher standard, well, most, not all, but most won't ever do that because it will mean not getting it, okay? So because of this, you have to be aware of the signs because again, we can't wait for them to say it. So let's get into it, okay? So one of the first things a man will do when he just wants to have sex is he will consistently compliment you in a very sexual manner, all right? So one of the reasons why I put this first on the list is because I actually recently had a friend who texted me and she said, Lord, please, Stephan, help these men. and I'm like, what's going on? And she sent me this text and I believe the scenario started with her sliding in his DMs. I'm not 100% certain, but I know she gave a compliment in the DMs to him. A very nice, simple compliment, right? And he compliments her back, but his comment, I can't remember exact words, but it was essentially like, oh yeah, thank you. You're so beautiful and you have such a nice, juicy booty. Okay, I'm sorry to laugh, but clearly she was frustrated by this, all right? And clearly that is him showing the sign of he is just looking at her sexually. Now, I don't want to say it's impossible and there aren't exceptions out there for men who, I hate to use the word stupid, but who are not aware enough to not make such comments if they're actually trying to entertain something genuine with a woman, all right? However, the vast majority of men know better, or at the very least, the vast majority of men just typically will not make that mistake right off the jump. It would be at least a little bit more into the conversation, possibly that they would do that. Anyways, the point is, it doesn't just stop there. It's this constant bringing up of physical features, what they like your lips, they like this. It's always complimenting you in that way. And again, that's showing you that he has a one-track mind. Because it's one thing if it's a lot of different compliments about who you are, getting to know your personality, and then he's kind of a flirtatious person where he throws some sexual stuff in there as well. To me, I'm willing to give that more leeway. It's the guy who just seems like it's always about that. It's always about your physical appearance, all right? And here's what you have to be mindful of as a woman to not allow this to then pull you into the wrong place. Don't entertain that nonsense. Like if you start to notice he's making such compliments consistently. At that point, you should say something. If you are desiring to, like, if you feel like, okay, everything else seems great about this guy, I want to get to know him, but he seems to be just going in that sexual direction every single time. All right, you know me, I always say you address these things. You just don't up and run. You address them because, believe it or not, some men actually don't know better. Some. I'm not saying most, but some, okay? And the reason why it's important for you to address it is not only one, for it to stop because it might be making you feel uncomfortable, but also because if you do not, but you continue to talk to this man, you're essentially feeding his perception that this is okay, all right? And that you're down with this. And that if you're down with this kind of talk, well, then you're more than likely in his mind, at least he wants to hope you are, down to just have sexual relations. So you want to establish that that's not what you're here for. And you're looking for more than that. You cannot be afraid as a woman to express what your standards are in the situation. Because when you don't, you make it easy for men to cross lines. And again, we could all just say, oh, well, if he acts that way, just leave him alone. We have to be real. A lot of women find themselves in these situations, don't like it, still don't say anything, but continue with that man anyway. And then it becomes a bigger problem later. And then when the stuff hits the fan, so to speak, and it does become even more blatant that all he wanted you for was intimacy, now you're really upset. But it's like, listen, you saw this pattern from the beginning. Let's not turn a blind eye to it. Let's, again, address it. And if it's not going to be corrected, we move on from there. All right, now, before I move on to number 2, let me add a little bit more to this first point. So it was brought to my attention that for some men, and remember I said there's some men who may not know better, but there's also some men who may feel like this is a necessary tactic to essentially not be put in the friend zone, all right? So why would a man do that? Because the idea is if I don't show you or express sexual interest, then you may now just take me as some guy who's being your friend. And that may sound strange to you, but consider this. There have been men who have gone out with women, were genuinely interested in them, all right? And again, with that genuine interest, they did want to have sexual relations, but they really were trying to establish something real. And because of this, they were more cautious, they were not making any advances, they were really being patient. Only for the woman to turn around and say, oh, I thought you weren't interested. Oh, I thought you were gay. Oh, now we're just friends. There's a lot of men who have experienced that. And so now it causes some to feel like I have to establish something sexually to make sure, one, she understands that where I'm trying to go with this, and I'm not just trying to be her friend, as well as her not, again, looking at him or mistaking what his intentions are, as I gave you the example of friendship or having a different sexual orientation or whatever the case may be. So again, this is why it's important to talk about it and not just assume and to address things because, again, it may all sound crazy, but this is real and it happens more than you think. All right, so let's move on to number 2. And the second thing a man will do that is like a perfect piggyback off of number 1 is he will constantly bring up sex in conversation. So again, this is pretty much the same as the constant sexual compliments. This man is showing you where his head is at, all right? And his focus is on trying to move things along in that direction, okay? And because of this, not just because of this, but one, I have to say it, some men, a lot of men lack depth in conversation, all right? I think most of you women can agree, and you know that. At least many of you have experienced this. And for some men, they don't know how to talk about anything else. Like that's what they know, okay? Whether they're good at it or not, that's what they know. And so they may tend to lean on that because they don't know how to expand the conversation elsewhere. Now, that's not an excuse, and that doesn't make it okay and acceptable. Again, this is just me explaining it to you, right? But either way, it's still a problem. Whether it's them lacking depth to be able to have a better conversation, or again, they're just showing you that that's where their head is at. And so now you have to pay attention if every time, well, not every time, but if constantly when you guys are talking about non-sexual things, he seems to always work in a sexual angle. That's what it is. You got to take it for what you got to understand what he's trying to get at. But again, I have to repeat, I mentioned it in number 1. If you don't want that, don't entertain it. This is hitting my spirit, so I have to say it. And please don't take offense, because you know I say everything with love. I'm not trying to, shame y'all, judge y'all, none of that, okay? But there are a lot of situations I've seen where women, whether you realize it or not, lead the man on, all right? Lead him to believe that you are with it. Again, whether that be entertaining that conversation, it might be even making a smart little fresh comment back to him when he says something. So again, he's thinking, oh, okay, we're on the same page here. The whole time, though, you're feeling some kind of way about it. The whole time, though, that's not all you want. And maybe you're playing along because you like him and you want this to go somewhere, so you don't want to rock the boat and throw things off by acting like you're not cool with that. But all you're doing is setting the situation up for failure, as well as ignoring the fact that this man is focused on you just being someone he can enjoy sexually and not someone he can build a relationship with, all right? So you've got to be mindful of that. And again, I have to add this, and please understand that me saying you are leading him on does not give men a free pass to disrespect you, to violate you, or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that you have to be mindful of the environment you're cultivating with a man that sends a signal of you're down to just, do things sexually, or you're actually trying to have something serious. What stage are you setting? All right? Because I feel like I have to say it. There's so many stories I can pull from, but one specifically, I'm just going to say this. And I've said this story once before. I'm going to use it when I've used once before. Anyways, woman goes out with a man. They go out during the day, all right? Which to me, if you're not trying to get sexual, day dates are the best thing for everyone to do, all right? That helps eliminate the idea that you're trying to go there with the man, all right? At least at that time that you are. But anyways, they go on a date. Everything's great. It's getting late now, so now it's nighttime. They hanged out some more. Now she invites him back to her home for coffee or something like that. All right, cool. So he comes back, and now they're sitting on the couch, they're talking. Now they start kissing, all right? So now let me walk you through this real quick. For those of you who may not understand, if you don't want to get sexual with a man, inviting him back to your house, bad signal number 1, all right? That's already even if to you, you should be able to do this and it should be innocent, you've got to understand that most men are going to interpret that as maybe she wants me to try, all right? Not even that, oh, okay, I was planning to do all this. He might be thinking, oh, you're trying to lead me down the path of making this happen. And men have been told where they missed opportunities because they didn't try. So now in their head, they're thinking, oh, if this opportunity presents itself, I got to jump on it. No pun intended. All right. So moving forward, they start kissing. She's cool with the kissing. Then he makes an attempt to push things further. All right. Now, mind you, I said an attempt, not forcing it or anything. But again, in his mind, he's thinking, let's see how far I can push the envelope. Well, she gets offended. She's upset. She kicks the man out. And then she ends up hitting me up. What's wrong with these men? All they want is sex. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair. If you knew you did not want that, you've got to be mindful of it. And again, it's one thing for you to be offended or cut him off because he crossed the line in a very disrespectful manner, or he tried to force his way, things like that. Okay, cool. But we're talking about a simple attempt, all right? I don't know what the exact attempt was, but the way she explained it wasn't like, again, he wasn't forcing himself, but it was an attempt to push things further. When you give him that kind of signals, what do you expect for him to think? And there's a lot of other women. If you think I'm tripping, talk to other women and give them that same kind of scenario. Most other women would agree that, yeah, okay, yeah, that's sending the wrong signal to the guy. So again, all that to say, you have to be mindful of how you're cultivating these environments, how you're responding and engaging in these moments that will let him know where your head is at. But yes, if he's constantly moving the conversation to something sexual, then that is a big sign that he just wants to have sex. All right, so let's get to the next one. Third thing a man will do when he only wants to have sex is that he will only want to see you at your place, his place, and I'm gonna throw one more place in there, a hotel. All right. Now I know the hotel situation is not the most common scenario. However, as a coach, I have come across it multiple times, all right? So it does exist. So I just want to mention it for those of you who may come across it, and it may not dawn on you that this is a bit strange or a red flag that this is all this man is trying to do. Just being safe. But let's focus on the one that most of you do come across, which is he only wants to either come over and hang out or have you come over and hang out. Now, listen. I'm gonna put myself out there for a second. I'm someone who can be a bit of a homebody at times, all right? And I could easily see myself getting comfortable at times with just hanging out at the house, okay? So I know how it's easy for a man, for some men, to just get very comfortable with that if the woman allows it. And that's the key, if the woman allows it. Because one thing I can say about me is if I'm dating someone and if I'm genuinely dating someone and they want to go out I'm not going to deny it. I'm going to be, all right, cool, let's go. Like I'm willing to come out of my let's just chill at home all the time self to make sure we get to go out and enjoy ourselves. So my thing is this, it's one thing that he initiates that. The bigger thing is, how does he respond to you wanting to do something other than that? All right. If he's constantly steering it back to, nah, just come over, let me come over. That is the biggest sign. Because again, I know some of you are thinking, nah, if a man's serious, he'll want to go on dates. Please understand, some men are just not. Let me put it to you like this. If you really pay attention, one thing I've noticed is when I have gone out, whether it be for events or with friends or whatever, a lot of places, let's say festivals, concerts, things like that, networking events, a lot of them have tons of women and very little men. Not because the men don't exist in the city, not because of this idea that it's just a lopsided percentage of men to women. No, it's because a lot of men stay home and they come out for certain things. Maybe it's sports. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's video games, and for some it might be the club, but they don't go to these other types of events. So I'm just bringing that up to say that, again, there are many men, and I'll add this one more thing. If you talk to a lot of married women, one of the common complaints is, he don't want to go nowhere. He don't take me nowhere. We don't do date nights. You know what I'm saying? Again, even the man who married this woman can get very comfortable with just staying home and chilling. So I don't want to use that by itself as the indicator. I want to use, now when you say to him, nah, I want to go out. Or I like to be taken out on dates. However you want to express it. If he has nothing but excuses for it, yeah, it's a problem. And if you have expressed this, and that's the thing, once you've established, I like to go out, and now he never brings up going out anywhere, yeah, that is showing you this man is only trying to make it where it's essentially a matter of men who just want to have sex with you are trying to do less for more. So it's almost like if the intention is just to sleep with you, why do we need to do all this? All that other stuff is just viewed as fluff, viewed as unnecessary stuff that we have to add to the equation for him to get to the same end result that he's looking for. So if he can reach that end result without having to spend the money, without having to be out with you, without having to get dressed and whatever else comes with it, he's going to go for that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to make sure, again, you establish your standards and you don't constantly entertain this. But I will say this, when you are trying to establish a real relationship, hanging out at honestly, again, I know plenty of people who are genuinely dating still may hang out at each other's houses early on, but I do think we have to make sure that the initial few dates are actual dates, all right? Going somewhere where we can get to know each other, where we can evaluate, do we really want to move forward? Where are we? What are our intentions? So on and so forth. And then once we're on the same page, okay, cool. Now again, you're grown adults, so if you are trying to get down because that's what you want to do, that's your choice. I'm not here to judge or whatever. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying that's your choice. But if you want a real relationship, be mindful of that. Real quick, I keep forgetting things. Before we move on, another reason why he may only want to your house, his house, or even that hotel is because he is trying to hide you as well. And that hiding could be because he's in a relationship. That hiding could be because, this is going to sound so bad, but this is just honest. There are men out there who sleep with women they're not really attracted to or wouldn't want other people to see them with. It's not going to stop them from sleeping with the woman, but it will stop them from wanting to be out and about with this woman, all right? So when he refuses to be seen with you, it's a very, very bad sign. That might be one of the closest, I never want to say don't address a red flag, but man, that might be one of the closest just get out of there red flags I can throw out there, because I don't know if there's any kind of workaround with that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, again, always address it. Always address it, because I've heard so many crazy stories. That's why I know there's always exceptions to the rule. That's why I know sometimes there's so many misunderstandings. I also realize that what one considers a red flag, someone else may not. And because of this, that's why communication is key. But to wrap up this point, yes, it also may be because he's trying to hide you, and that is a problem. All right, so the fourth thing a man will do when he only wants to have sex is he will tell you that let's just go with the flow. Now, if you have read my books, one of them being He's Lying, Sis, or was it in The Man God Has For You? Either way, in one of these books, I be forgetting sometimes which one it's in, I make it very clear that I'm not a fan of let's just go with the flow, because that is typically a huge sign of, one, without giving you intent. Let me backtrack. It's a sign, it's in most cases, not all, but in most cases, what it is I know where I want this to flow, but I don't want to tell you because then it may not flow that way. So essentially, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, I know I only want to kick it with you and just enjoy you without anything serious, but I can't say it flat out, because when you say it flat out like that, many women will take issue with it. So the softer, indirect, vague way to say it is, let's just go with the flow. Because now, with going with the flow, you cannot hold me accountable to any specific expectation. You can't say, I told you I'm trying to make you my girlfriend. You can't say that I was looking for marriage. What are we doing here? I just told you, let's go with the flow. I don't know where I want this to go. Let's just enjoy ourselves in the meantime. It is usually a scapegoat to, again, avoid having to say straight out what needs to be said. And so some of you as ladies may say, well, I've told men, let's just go with the flow. And I always say, when you said that, where was your head honestly? Chances are you were not genuinely interested or as interested, or you weren't sure you want to be serious with this guy. At the very best, it may have been a situation where it's like, oh, he's okay, maybe I'll give it a try. But again, you don't want to be held to anything specific. So let's just go with the flow, because I might change my mind next week. You know what I'm saying? And if I do, I want the freedom to do that. And at the end of the day, that kind of vagueness creates confusion, creates chaos, creates messiness, all right? So to me, I really would love things to get to a better place where we can be more honest with each other. Again, even if two grown adults just want to enjoy themselves with nothing serious, okay, cool. At least if we can be honest about it, we can eliminate the drama that comes from the deceit or the vagueness. All right? We can eliminate or help diminish, because I've seen situations where people were honest and it still got messy. But we can at least decrease the chances of it by being more real with each other. All right? But yes, you have to pay very close attention to go with the flow. And I would even encourage you that if a man says go with the flow, that it might be in your best interest, not even might, it is in your best interest to push a little bit deeper into that conversation and say, listen, I understand you said go with the flow, but be real with me. Is it that you just want to hang out and just enjoy, nothing serious? That's it? I'm not saying you're guaranteed to get a yes out of him or get an honesty out of him, but it will increase the chances of you maybe getting a straightforward answer because you already know what it probably means. You know what I'm saying? And let's just put it out there and call it what it is. And then two adults make the decision on how they want to move forward from there. But before we get to it, real quick, here's your opportunity to get your personal questions answered for free on my next live coaching call. Go to askstefanspeaks.com. You can click the link in the description or in the comments section, submit your question, and you will have your chance to join my membership to hear your question answered for free. All right. Again, go to askstefanspeaks.com. All right. So we're moving along. And the next thing a man will do when he only wants to have sex is avoid deeper intimacy with you. So when we talk about deeper intimacy, one, we have to understand that intimacy isn't just sexual, all right? It's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. And the reality is that a man who's only trying to keep things on the surface, superficial, sexual, is not trying to go in those deeper levels with you. So with that, he's not trying to have deeper conversations and learn more about you and your history. That isn't to say that there aren't men who won't go deeper and they still only want to have sex. What I am saying is when he doesn't go deeper, that is a bigger sign that yes, that's all, because he probably just wants sex. Anyways, not having deeper conversations about learning who you are, definitely not opening up a lot about who he is and really expressing himself to you. Also, showing you that he doesn't really interact with you and engage when it comes to non-sexual intimacy. Like the only time he's really trying to touch you is when sex is involved, okay? Now, again, hitting my spirit, gotta say it, because I've sat down with tons of married couples where that was one of the big complaints the women made, all right? That the husband only wants to touch them when sex is involved. Now, understand this. Are there some men who struggle with being affectionate? Right? Yeah, of course. However, what happens at least in these married situations, listen, if we're going to keep it real, some of those married situations are involving people who are never really in love with each other. And yes, what he views his wife as is a sexual outlet. That's just keeping it real. Hopefully that's not hurting anyone's feelings, but it's honesty. But the other thing that happens that you have to be mindful of if you ever do get married or are married is that when a man is constantly being denied sex and is not being consistently satisfied, he becomes very antsy, all right? And now, the minute it even looks like you might be open for it, which is when you might want to be affectionate, he's thinking, here's my chance. I got to go in before I lose this moment. Lord knows when it's coming back, all right? So now there's an environment that's created that he always wants to take it there because to him, he can't trust that just being affectionate with you will lead to him being able to get it later on, okay? So you got to be mindful that there isn't neglect going on in the marriage. If there is, why is it happening? How do we fix this? And of course, whether that's happening in a marriage, relationship, whatever, you have to pay attention to these things. And you've got to understand, okay, is he like this because, it's like a dog who hasn't been fed for a long time. Now everything starts looking like food. All right. So now you walk by him a certain way and he's thinking, oh, she's giving me a signal because he's looking for something to tell him, make it happen. because he's dying so bad to make it happen. Anyways, going back to the original point, if that's so outside of stuff like that, if all he does is all intimacy with you is sexual, that's the problem. That's the issue. That is the sign that it's just about sex. Because again, those guys don't want to go deeper with you. And also, deeper levels of intimacy include also, bringing you more into their world, sharing more of their life with you. All right. All these different things, anything that you can consider that would create a deeper bond with each other. Those are things they're not going to want to engage in. And that's why they avoid them at all costs. All right, so now this next one is a perfect piggyback to the last thing about not wanting to go deeper with the intimacy. So another thing that a man will do when he just wants to have sex is he will leave right after sex, okay? Now, again, this is not about one-time situation. If you are sexually involved with this man, so again, this is assuming that you are already sexually engaging with this individual, all right? And every time you guys lay down, he's out, he's gone. What that's showing you is that, again, the man knows if I want to keep this casual, I cannot give any sign to her that says I want something more. And there have been men who have experienced where they let their guard down. And when I say let their guard down, meaning the guard of not letting this go any further than casual. So, okay, you know what? She's cool. She's down with this. I'll hang out a little bit longer. Only for her to catch feelings, it become a problem, and now things get messy. So what happens is a lot of men then learn that they have to essentially create a greater level of detachment from the woman if the goal is to just be casual with her. So that means not staying after sex. That means not getting you something nice for your birthday. That means not doing anything that makes you feel too special or that he enjoys you outside of the sexual experience. So again, it completely ties to not wanting to experience any kind of deeper level of intimacy with you, because staying after the sex and sleeping in your bed or talking and all these things, well, yeah, that can give boyfriend vibes or genuine I like you vibes, and that can now confuse the woman. So again, none of this is saying whether it's right or wrong. It's explaining what happens. You know what I'm saying? So you can be aware of it and understand what's going on and what it means, because I think many women in this scenario will overlook it because you want so bad to keep this thing going. You want to make things work with him, so you come up with all kinds of validation and excuses for his behavior, even though it's making it clear to you this is what he's about and he does not want anything serious. All right, so now we got 3 more. The next one is simply that everything is at his convenience, all right? So again, men who just want to have sex, what did I say earlier? They're trying to do less for more. They're trying to make this as easy and as smooth as possible for them as possible. Yes, as smooth as possible, okay? And so that means that they're not here to accommodate you. They're here to get their needs met. They're here to make sure that everything is easy for them, regardless of what it does for you. And so when he is ignoring the fact that he will inconvenience you, he will not make compromises, he will not make any sacrifices. There's a quote that says, lust can look like love until it's time to make a sacrifice. And so essentially it's like, listen, this guy can claim he cares about you, likes you, all that kind of stuff, but what is his action showing to back that up? And if a man is serious about a woman or has more intention than just having sex with her, then he is more accommodating. Plain and simple. He is more willing to meet what's going to be at her convenience at time. Maybe not completely inconvenience himself, but he is much more willing to strike a balance with this woman. So when you're seeing that he ignores that, it's always about him, that's a problem. So one of those things includes It's when he wants to see you, not when you want to see him. You know what I'm saying? So even if you're claiming, oh, well, let's say you call him and you down to go have some sex. But to him, it's like, well, no, this is on my time. and when I feel like it. And I feel the need to say it. It sounds bad, but it's real. He might be turning it down now because he got somebody else coming up today. He'll get back to you next week. You know what I'm saying? And again, he's not going to make room for you when he doesn't have to. And if you allow it, well, he's going to continue with it. So you want to pay attention to, is this man willing to compromise and accommodate you? Because if not, again, that's another thing that men who just want to have sex will do. All right, so move things along. This one's going to be real short because we kind of mentioned it multiple times. So another thing a man will do when he just wants to have sex is he will avoid hanging out with you when sex is not involved. So things like, let's say you're on your period. He will become very irritated by that. He may cut the date short if there's a date involved or hanging out involved. Or he may not even just cancel the whole thing. Because again, to him, if sex is not going to be a part of the equation, why are we even going to be around each other? All right? And so whether that be showing you support at an event, whether that be, any kind of extracurricular activities, whether that just be hanging out on days where maybe you're not having your period, but you're just tired today and you're not in the mood. And when that happens, he's not respectful of it. He's not understanding. He's impatient. He's annoyed. It's always a problem because, again, to him, I am only here for one thing. And when you're not going to provide that one thing, in his mind, you are wasting his time. So you've got to pay very close attention to that. How does this man react to when you are not making yourself sexually available? All right. As well as, does he ever make time to hang out when sex is not involved? All right. So now the last thing a man will do when he only wants sex is he will not stop entertaining other women. Now, I felt the need to put this on the list simply because I wanted to highlight a couple things, all right? One, let me make clear, when you're dating and there's not an official committed relationship, I'm a firm believer that both parties, man and woman, are free to do as they please, okay? So to me, it's not fair to hold anyone to a specific standard of exclusivity when we are just still in the getting to know each other phase, unless that is what has been officially agreed upon. However, let me also say, I am not a big fan or believer of exclusive dating, all right? Reason being, to me, it's almost like if we're exclusively dating, and I guess maybe if it's the first couple weeks where we're just saying we're only getting to know each other right now and that's it. But what many people do is they go from the phase of we're talking and getting to know each other. For whatever reason, we're still not officially committing to each other, but let's exclusively date at this point. And to me, it's like, well, if you can't be in an official relationship, then why are we trying to have this pseudo official relationship? Like it's this weird gray area that, in my opinion, it's almost naive to think that everyone's going to respect that. Hell, people have a hard time respecting marriage, respecting official boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. You really think they're respecting the exclusive dating title? I'll say this. I always made a joke like I have a hard time. I'm not saying there aren't people who do honor it. However, if a man or a woman is out and they meet someone randomly that is like, oh my gosh, this person is amazing, I don't see them saying, hey, I can't take your number, I'm exclusively dating someone. Like, it's not happening. It's not happening because they're gonna now remind themselves, wait a minute, I'm not official with this person. It ain't gonna hurt me to take this number. So it's like, what are we really doing here? All right. Now, I had to throw that in. That's the reason why I mentioned the whole entertaining other women. But going back to the point is, when I say he's still entertaining other women, it kind of goes back to what I mentioned where the guy has, like, he's not just dating and getting to know people, he's sleeping with other people. actively. And he's letting you know, like, there's no intention of we're working towards commitment here. So you could call it he won't commit to you plus he's with other women. Either way, it's probably saying to you, listen, he's just trying to have his fun. He's just trying to be casual. He's not committing to anyone because he just wants to do what he does. And now here's the thing, though, I feel the need to mention, and we'll wrap this up. That same guy could pitch it to you that, hey, let's go with the flow, or hey, I don't want anything serious, or whatever. That same guy could have multiple women that he's sleeping with, dating, whatever, and have all of y'all thinking he doesn't want commitment. And then 2 months later, while y'all were all kicking it with him, or you were kicking it with him, whatever, he ends up getting a relationship with somebody else. And so that's why it's important for you to understand. Number one, sometimes it's not that they don't want commitment, it's they don't see commitment with you. That's nothing against you personally, it's just y'all two are not a good fit for that. And you have to understand that if you want more, if you want a real relationship, don't entertain, excuse my language, half-ass situations like that. Do not entertain these gray areas. Do not take less than you deserve, because you're gonna end up with the short end of the stick, and I want you to be happy, fulfilled, and receiving what God has for you. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to watch this one over here, where now we're gonna talk about the other side, the 9 signs he wants to be committed to you. And some of you may say, well, 9, why should I have to reach out? Because this is a two-way street. We're trying to build something together. And there's some situations where